Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Caesarina M. Paul, that's the name. It's really me talking to you about various matters. I always say that my channel is set up mainly to empower the people who visit, who listen to my content. That's my goal, is just to bring empowerment. When I am empowered, I feel that I have to share, and when you empower me, I feel that we can help each other. It's my pleasure to have all of you. Today I want to talk a little bit about something that is definitely a big matter in my country, Dominica. It has to do with re-registration, voters re-registration. And I'm not here today to talk about all the various facets or clauses in the latest law that was passed in the Parliament, in the House of Assembly recently in Dominica. But I'm here generally to look at the concept of re-registration for what it's worth, what I know a little bit about it. Because so many people are so concerned about it, is it a good thing, is it a bad thing? I thought I should take some time and really talk about or explore it for myself to try to find out a little bit more about re-registration. I wanted to know if it was indigenous to Dominica, meaning is Dominica the only country that even is talking about re-registration or has actually thought about exploring the concept of re-registration. And I realized that in truth and in fact, it's not. There are other countries that have used the process of re-registration before in terms of ensuring that their voters get the opportunity to vote, but also to ensure that generally all parties across the board are pleased, are satisfied with the electoral process and the electoral system, and particularly with the voters list in their countries. Allow me to share a little bit with you on that. As I said, my position is not to tell you whether you should support it or not. Probably it's more to say generally, this is what I know about re-registration, and hopefully that you, me, all of us will decide whether it's something that we want to be a part of at the end of this discussion or at the end of this presentation. Okay, so allow me, I will be looking at my notes from time to time. So if you see my head drop, it's because I'm looking at my notes and talking to you at the same time. All right, but don't take this personal. I'm definitely there with you and awake with you as well. So what is re-registration? The idea of re-registration, which is a process to make people eligible to vote, essentially requires individuals to re-register. So they might have been registered before and they are being called to re-register, or to verify their eligibility to be on the voters list and to vote, to ensure that they can say, based on what they produce during the process of re-registration, that they have eligibility, that they are legally presenting themselves and they can be able to vote if they are re-registered. All right. It has been used in various countries throughout the world, and I was rather surprised, to be honest with you all, when I found that out. It has been used in countries and territories, places like Germany, India, United States of America. These places have definitely used the term or the process of re-registration. Interestingly, I found out too that even within our own Caribbean region, the process of re-registration has also been used. And so you have that being done often as part of an electoral process, an electoral reform process. And it's an effort definitely to clean up the voters list, which is something that we've been hearing a lot about, to clean up a bloated, or you could say even a very old voters list. So other people have used it, so it's outdated or it's bloated. And so the re-registration process is used in order to ensure that that goes away or that is not existing anymore in that particular country. Here's a breakdown of what it involves, where it has happened, some places, and of course the debates that surround it. All right. So first of all, what is reconfirmation for voting? What is re-registration for voting? One-time process, though in some places, in some jurisdictions, it has been used more than just once. It's sometimes it's periodic in certain countries. Like every election, they go back and they do that process. It must be costly. It must be time consuming. But some places, they adopt that strategy, I suppose, to give whatever desire that their countries have at that point, their citizens have at that point. And so it is that time, so that type of process, a one-time process or a periodic process where all registered voters must verify the eligibility to remain on the electoral roll. That this can involve one, presenting a valid ID, for example, a passport, a license, a driver's license, a passport, a social security card. Those government issued IDs are often used as one of the main ingredient, main tool, the main thing for someone to present his or herself to say, I am eligible and I want to be on the electoral roll. The person, that is in order to show that they have proof of residency and or proof of citizenship of the country. All right, confirming current address and personal details. And so there are some personal details that they will have to talk about, like their career, what do they do for a living. And you'd find that sometimes even like on the current voters list, you have someone who may have changed jobs and they may have registered long ago, and because when they registered they were a clerk, probably today they are professional in some other field, and because of the fact that they have not, had that, we've not had that process in whatever place, then you find that that person still appears as a clerk when in truth and in fact he or she is doing something else. Maybe they became a farmer, a fisherman, probably they became a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it is. And so there is also that need to get those personal details, or you could say the demographics of the individual, in order for that person to be for there to be, sort of like a proof about the person and more confirmed and more solid information about the individual. And so that process allows as well for that. It is often proposed in response to concerns such as dead people remaining on the list. And again, that is something that we've heard a lot about, dead people remaining on the list. Whose role is it to remove dead people from the list? Most likely it is the Electoral Commission who is responsible for that. But of course, that organization, that department must be fed with the information, and I want to believe from probably the registry, probably from the family members of the person who died. People don't think about that when someone dies, but probably it's something that needs to be established, a system, not necessarily to put the burden on the family, the mourning family, but probably to ensure that the system is so organized that when someone dies, the information leaves the registry and it goes to the Electoral Commission if the person, just to ensure that the person's name is removed. And so maybe that's a process, that's something that needs to be considered. But usually reconfirmation or re-registration, those things happen, particularly one, to remove dead people's name from the list. People registered to ensure that people are not registered in multiple constituencies, and so they would have to go through and ensure that, okay, everybody is eligible to vote in just one constituency, as everybody is entitled to one vote and not 2 and 3 and 4. How that happens, I don't know. I think brave people alone that undertake those kind of things there for whatever reason, because they so want their party to win that maybe they might think of going to another constituency to vote and then moving to another one on the same voting day, which is mad to me. But at the same time, there are people who would probably try to push the system to that extreme, and so the re-registration also can contribute to that not happening, whereby the list is so updated that it will be easy to pick out that person with their demographics, their name, even maybe a facial, a photo, to show that this is the person, that person is registered in this constituency. They can't be registered in yet another constituency. So that is something as well to bear in mind. Also, it also ensures that non-residents are not allowed to vote. Non-residents are not allowed to vote. If that's the law of the country, where they say you're a non-resident person, you've not been in the island for X amount of period of time, and not because your name is on the list that you can just go and vote, then it would suffice for that, because from that time the person's name, probably if they were not reconfirmed and re-registered to vote and are not eligible within the time frame that they need to be in the country, they would not be able to vote as well. And also, as I mentioned earlier, to ensure that there is all outdated and any duplicated entries are gone. They're taken off, they're removed. And so it's really calling for keen eyes. It's calling for honesty on the part of all those who are dealing with the situation, who are involved in the process. It's calling for a certain level of impartiality on the part of all the people who are employed within, let's say, the electoral commission or the electoral office. Be them in the districts, be them in the main office. It's important that everybody, exercise a certain level of professionalism to ensure that nobody is disenfranchised, that everybody who comes and who has the necessary information and who is eligible will be accepted, but also that people who are not eligible will not be accepted. And I believe it's a process that will allow, that should allow and will allow for people to feel more confident about, about the list, to feel more confident about the voting process in their country. Examples of reconfirmation or similarities to that processes, for example, in Jamaica, it's said that in Jamaica, Jamaica has undertaken that process early in the 2000s. I think about 2006, Jamaica must have had a verification exercise. And so if you notice, the terminology changes. People talk about re-verification, reconfirmation, re-registration. As to whether there might be little technicalities with the terms, but I think the actual picture is that the voters list is being revisited by the country, by the state, and that people will feel a bit more confident and comfortable with it. All right, so Jamaica seemingly has done it in 2006, and I also read that Jamaica in 2017 they were supposed to have done it, and because the money that was allotted, I think it was something like about $700 million was allotted, Jamaican dollars of course, was allotted to ensuring that happens. That money was then removed from the budget, and so that did not allow for the re-registration process that was expected by the Jamaicans. All right, and that was in 2017. It was said that it was stalled, the process was stalled, and so you find even there the electoral commission was saying that even their voters ID card was going to be expired in December, I think the 17th of December of that particular year. Excuse me. And so it was really important for them to get the process going so that people could be issued with new voters ID cards and so on. I mean, these are things that happen within not even just the international space, as I spoke about Germany, India, USA, but also Jamaica in the Caribbean. Also in the Caribbean, you also have that particular thing in Jamaica. It was aimed at removing duplicate or outdated names, as I said. It involved fingerprinting and digital ID systems. Clearly, that was very expensive, to be honest. I think when you talk about fingerprinting and digital ID systems in a modern time, yes, it seems like the ideal thing to do, but I think that is also extremely expensive. If for a re-registration, maybe people's fingerprints are taken, I personally have concerns about asking that fingerprints be taken for voting. And the reason I'm saying that is because of the amount of equipment that will be needed. If we have 21 constituencies, and in each constituency you do have a number of polling stations. So you can imagine how many of these machines and an overall system that manages them to easily pick out somebody's information by just going to that fingerprint. You can imagine how difficult that would be and how challenging. I'm hoping that within those countries that the voting is not made so complicated, and not even in our country that it's not so complicated, but that while it is a simple process, but it's also transparent, that it's also fair for all across the board, and that everybody will be satisfied. Okay, I went to vote and I know that my vote was casted and it's going to be respected by the system that is set up for my vote to be counted. In Jamaica, it was said in 2006, it was not really a mass reconfirmation, but it targeted and phased. All right. The goal was to improve electoral integrity. Again, that is usually the purpose for something like that. And in Dominica, of course, we know that there is a lot of discourse about it right now, and in positive ways, and also in concerning ways, and in ways that some people feel a bit maybe insecure in the sense that they don't trust the system. But I think personally, and I did say that I'm not going to really put too much of my views in this, but I'm saying overall, I think it is probably a process that we should give a chance, because it should put the country overall in a better state in terms of people getting the opportunity to vote, one, but also people getting the opportunity to feel that the voters list is more relatable to the time, it's more updated, and it's fresh, and so even people who are not supposed to be on it will not be on it, and that should give a level of comfort to all people. It was also said that in Trinidad and Tobago, you also have a periodic re-registration, but not a full reconfirmation. So they have done periodic re-registration, but not full reconfirmation. So there's reconfirmation, there is registration. So I suppose you have re-registered, but then you must go in and reconfirm if going closer to election. I want to believe that's probably the difference there. Initially, I was kind of like using them interchangeably, but I realized more as I'm internalizing this, that re-registration is about, okay, we're going to clean up this list, we're going to have people come, everybody come fresh, let's re-register. But probably after 5 years, after one election, maybe they might say, okay, I want you to come and reconfirm that you are actually still able and willing to vote in the next election, that you are still alive, etc. So that constant updating and cleansing of the list by the relevant people, the relevant authorities, probably. So there have been calls for full reconfirmation in that place in Trinidad and Tobago due to a bloated list and questionable entries. Again, interestingly, Trinidad and Tobago is right now in the process of going towards election, and I want to believe that that process was taken, as you know, was done prior, of course, to they going to the polls, and that will not be. We hope that this will not be an issue that will emerge from maybe the result. Once people are not probably happy with the result, or once they are happy with the result, I don't know, that this is not going to be a matter of discussion that people were disenfranchised, or that the list was outdated. I'm just saying, like, overall, it's really a process that intends or is set up in a way that should allow for who can vote to vote, who are eligible to vote to be able to vote, and to give the country the necessary leader that the majority of the people would choose. And it's really part of you could say confirming and strengthening the democratic process of the countries that this is being used in. It is said that in Bahamas as well, which is another Caribbean island, before each general, no, this one amazed me completely. I'm telling you, when I read that, I was like, whoa. It is said that before each general election, there's a voter re-registration drive. That's mad. I think every 5 years, it means if every 5 years they have elections, then they have a re-registration drive in order for people to come on board and re-register. It means that probably they just put aside that old list that was for 5 years ago. Now we're gonna have elections in the next 5 years, and probably, I suppose, within the third or year of you know, that government, they would probably start talking about, let's look at the list, let's clean it up, let's ensure that let's have people re-register those who ought to be eligible. And that means, of course, I'm sure, cleansing the list as well, taking off those who are not supposed to be there. So in Bahamas, they're slightly different, and extremely, in my view, before each general election, there's a voter re-registration drive, and only those who register during that period are included on the new roll. You imagine that? Only those who registered during that period are included. So it could be like, okay, I'm interested in voting, and so I want my name to be on that list, so I'm going to re-register. Oh, me, I'm not interested in voting. I don't want my name on that. I'm not going to re-register. And so you find that maybe people are given that option. They can. Well, it's not that we don't have the option. You can have the option, but the point is that if people do not go ahead and re-register, then clearly for that election they will not vote. I also think that's good, because in a sense, everybody, whenever you have a registration, you already know, okay, for the next election, for that election that's coming up, we anticipate that there will be 60,000 voters, and X amount of them will be 50% will be within the age range of this and that, and 60%, 40% will be within the age range of this and that. And so we anticipate there are 50% male, 50% female. And so it's easy to sort of give you a breakdown of, at the end of the day, how many people really voted out of these people who registered, and of course, to look at the result and so on. So it helps with statistics as well, I think, when you have an updated voters list. At that, in Bahamas, it says only those who registered during this period are included on the new roll. In effect, this works like reconfirmation every 5 years, in essence, okay? That's in Bahamas. You have as well in Nigeria, in Africa, you have where the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has undertaken continuous voter re-registration and cleaning up the voters list to eliminate what they call ghost voters and errors. And you can imagine, with such vast populations, they really have to be profound. They have to be very, cautious. They have to be alert. They have to ensure that their list is top notch, up to date. And so I can imagine that they would use a process like this to ensure that their people are not disenfranchised, but that who are eligible to vote are the ones who will be voting. So the voters list is set up to eliminate ghost voters and errors. Not a full reconfirmation, that's what they said. They don't have a full reconfirmation, but a significant push to update the database before major elections is always done. And I think every country should definitely ensure that before. It's not just, okay, let's get new voters to go and register, but ensure that, yeah, new voters are registering, but let's clear out who's not supposed to be there as well. Let's ensure that who are eligible, these are the ones that have to vote. In the United States, I said, that was also used clearly because the United States, of the way the political system is set up, some states use that system, which is called voter roll purging, voter roll, ROLL, purging, where people who haven't voted in recent elections are removed. So they go to the list, they say, okay, this person has been on the list, they have not voted in the recent election, we're going to remove their name. Now that means if they want to vote in the new election, they have to go and reconfirm or re-register. And I think that makes sense, to be honest. If you are on the list and you choose not to vote, which is your right, you can choose not to vote, then they can say, okay, that person didn't vote, let's clear it up. Now that is done in certain states, not all the states, not all in the US, but because you have some who are they have their own laws and so on. And so, but in some of the states, that is done, okay? So there's no nationwide reconfirmation in the United States of America, but laws vary by state. So I just thought I would establish that to you as well. So what are some of the pros and cons of reconfirmation? There are pros and there are cons. Some of the pros, meaning the positives of reconfirmation. One, as I said earlier, it can eliminate ghost voters and duplicates of people's names. So it will remove that completely. It enhances public confidence in the voting process. If we feel confident that we have a new list, it's updated, people feel better. At the end of the day, we should not have a confusion or an argument over, oh, the election was stolen, because we would have seen that we had X amount of voters, and out of that, X amount of people voted. And it would be clearer, okay, to everybody. It promotes a level of fairness and integrity as well. It promotes fairness and integrity. That speaks for itself. And it allows updates to electoral districts and demographics. Remember I said that earlier, where sometimes a person's profession might change, their address may change, and they've been living in another constituency for X amount of years. And so it allows for those things to be amended and to give clarity and to ensure that their names are removed from that other constituency and they're now in a fresh constituency. So definitely there are some pros, there are some positives in the process of re-registration. What are some of the things that are called the cons, or you could say the disadvantages, you could say, or the negatives of re-registration? One of them could be that it can sometimes, if it's not properly done, it can disenfranchise legitimate voters if not well managed, okay? People who are eligible to vote, they can become disenfranchised because they may have been removed or taken off and probably didn't get the opportunity, I don't know. But there's a possibility that that could happen. Logistically, it is complex and it is expensive. And we must bear that in mind, look at our economies and decide, can we do this every 5 years, like for example Bahamas, or do we say after we do this process, then maybe we can look at another way to ensure, and a process to ensure that there is constantly an update of our voters list through a proper channel, through a proper manner where there is transparency, people of different, you could say political biases and beliefs, and there is a transparent process where people feel, let's go deal with it, and then we can go to the polls together. All right. And of course it could be abused to suppress votes or votes from certain groups. Yeah, it can. People who are involved in the process must ensure that they are very, very impartial, that they're not biased, that because they are supporting a certain party and X person come, because we have a small society, X person comes and because we know that that person is not supporting the party that we are supporting, then we try to disenfranchise them. That is not supposed to be, and we have to ensure that it is a fair process for all and sundry. And of course, it can be controversial if seen as politically motivated. So if it's seen that somebody's using it for their own advantage and it's making other people feel a bit disadvantaged, then of course it's something that is a negative and will need to be in. I think whoever is controlling, you could say, that process needs to give the electorate a sense of confidence in the process, ensuring that they establish a level of transparency and establish good communication with the public, so that people do not think it is some kind of undermining, on the table, disenfranchising process, but that all people will be pleased with the process and will generally go out and be a part of it. In context to Dominica, as I said, obviously it is something that is in grand discussion at this point, and we do have people, different schools of thought, who believe that probably they should not get involved in the process, or probably it's not how they want it to be. Some of the clauses are not what they would like, and so on. I think whatever the case is, I think, and that's where I stand in terms of being a Dominican at this point, that I think every eligible person should ensure that he or she gets reconfirmed or gets re-registered, and ensures that their name is on the list. Because the point I'm making is, you may allow yourself to be told not to get involved in the process, and then you would be shooting yourself in the foot. I want to urge all people, all parties, all individuals to think about this very, very carefully. If you live within Dominica or you live abroad and you want to be part of the voting process and you want to re-register to be a part of the political process of your country, then do it. Especially those inland. Do not shoot yourselves in the foot by saying, me, I'm not getting involved in that. That's not what we wanted. And then when the time comes for you to vote, you cannot vote. You cannot vote because you did not participate in the re-registration process. I would say to you, ensure that that does not happen. Ensure that you go out and you get involved in a process that will ensure that your name, your one vote, your one name, your one vote is on a list in your constituency, and of course by extension nationally is on that list, to enable you, to empower you to vote whenever, if ever, the opportunity comes. So in my little research, from what I get, re-registration is a process that, if you look at it on a positive side, more than ever, it allows for people to get the chance to vote, and that is great. And it allows for people to get a chance to feel a sense of comfort with the voters list. So I urge you, if it's whenever that process is being offered in your country, wherever you are, be it Jamaica, Barbados, Bahamas, Dominica, wherever you are, United States, and you have to go to do that, if you want to be a part of the voting process, the political process in your country, please ensure that you take advantage of that opportunity and you get your name on that list. So whenever that time comes, you will be able to say, I can vote. Here is my voter's ID card. Hopefully that will become in stream as well. And you can be part of the electoral process. So that's my wish for everybody who is concerned. At the end of the day, it's always your personal decision, but I just want to share that. I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to go through this with me. Obviously, as I said, there is some little nuances with reconfirmation, re-registration. So re-registration sounds to me, as I said, like a start of the process, a restart of the process. And then later, once your name is on that fresh list, that maybe in the next election, you can go and reconfirm your interest in voting. So I don't know if that's something that the country will eventually take on, but for this process of re-registration, it means that the entire list is going to go bonkers, just out of the way, just thrown on a side, you could say, and now starting afresh with a clean slate, a clean sheet of paper, a clean document, whatever you want to call it, and it's going to be then populated fresh from in each constituency. Only those whose names will be on those lists will be eligible to vote in the country, as they are, of course, resident within the country for that specific time frame that they ought to be. Things happen, people travel, people go, people come back. We do not know. And because people go and come back, we should ensure that we do not say, oh, this person should not put their name on the list because they're not living in that part of the world. Because interestingly, we do not know when these people will go back to their country, especially now with what's happening in the world. People are more, intentional about where do they go to live now. They might actually spend more time going back to their countries and staying. Okay, so I just thought I'd share that, and I want to thank you all for listening. Please subscribe to my channel. I try to educate, I try to give positive information. Again, I say maybe everybody may not agree with some of what I said, but if you disagree, do it respectfully. It's not about an argument. It's about, very respectfully sharing our own perspectives and agreeing to disagree. I believe in that. I believe that we can do that as mature people. It's not to anger anyone, it's not to hold any sides. It's really to just encourage us to think about the processes, do your own research, read up a little more about it if you're in doubt, and then make a conscious decision for you. Remember, at the end of the day, your vote counts. You fail to vote, you empower the other party. You vote, you empower your party. Think about it. God bless you. Subscribe to my channel. By the way, I want to say to you that I do have a membership program right now on my channel where you can become a member. If to become a member, you can simply pay $3 US or $2.99 US to support me, what I do, help me to get proper equipment, proper lighting, all these things. It will go a long way. There are 3 tiers in terms of the membership, by the way, 3 tiers. The first one is called Connecting. I call it Connecting because I think if someone agrees I want to be a member of your channel, they're connecting with me, and we have that liaison. There are some little perks that you will get to be when you're a member. I will highlight your comments on my chat. I will send you'll have a special color badge on the chats below the comments below my videos and so on. I'll give you shout outs from time to time, as well as the second tier of membership. It's called the Super Connected Gems. All right, super connected gems. All right, it's called that. And again, it's super because it's above the connecting zone, and of course, it's above the connecting tier, which is not tier, tier, yes, TIER, or level. Let's use the word level. All right, and it's also going to give a little more perks than just those who sign up for connecting membership. So there's connecting membership level 1. There is super connected gem as a tier level number 2, and level number 3 is called Empowered Zoners Link. Empowered Zoners Link, and that particular one, it's a bit more in terms of how much it costs to be a member of that, but it's because I intend with those members to have special closed room discussion or chats where we can meet to pray together, we can meet to discuss matters like these, like what I share here on my channel, and just empowerment, encouraging people, praying with people, sharing probably a training on some topic of interest that you would like, that you think you would like me to talk about or to deliver on, and so on. So I want to create those little communities, and I urge you, if you are able, monthly, support me in that way by signing up to be a member. And after you sign up to be a member, get the benefits of membership. I look forward to connecting with all of you. And again, those of you who subscribed to my channel before, I want to thank you all very much for giving me that push and that motivation to continue to produce, and I will continue to do my best. you can always give me suggestions. I want to thank those of you who send me messages and give me positive affirmations and giving me positive suggestions on how I can improve and how you can improve with me. And so thank you all very much. Again, once again, subscribe and God bless you. Thank you guys.